like to divert our attention to the paper of 2017. And as we are starting, I just want us to be reminded that we may not have too much time, but the little time that we are having, we are going to make good use of it. Remember, we have not looked at the paper 9101, stroke 101. That is Introduction to Special Needs Education. And therefore, as we are starting, I want us to be reminded that there is no crisis, because where we are heading to cannot be compared with where we have come from. Now, in our last class, we talked about question 6A, Roman 1, 2. But I want us to, before we look at the slides in general, I want us to look at Roman question 6B, Roman 1 and 2. Now, identify 2 symptoms of asphyxia. Identifies 2 symptoms of asphyxia. But before then, I want somebody to tell us what is asphyxia. Yes.
Lack of oxygen supply in the blood tissues.
Si uinue sauti kidogo, Jacqueline.
Hello.
Yes.
I think it is the lack of oxygen supply in blood tissues.
Lack of oxygen supply in the blood tissues?
Yes.
Right. Someone else on asphyxia? Mukinyamaza sana today, I will call people by names. Today, I will call people by names here.
Other body.
Dina, are you the one with the techno come on 17 today? I know. Lokwe is saying it is the insufficient oxygen in the blood tissues. Patricia, insufficient oxygen in the body tissues. Gachunga.
Yes, Pascal.
Will you tell us about this asphyxia?
I think it's the lack of enough blood supply in the body tissues.
Is it blood or oxygen?
Oxygen in the body tissues, lack of enough blood. Oxygen in the body tissues.
Lack of enough oxygen supply in the body tissues. Right. Now, what are some of the symptoms of asphyxia? What are some of the symptoms of asphyxia? When these are now things that when you observe, then you are likely to tell that somebody is suffering from asphyxia. Headache, Kimathi?
I'm just trying unconsciousness.
Unconsciousness. Remember when the oxygen when there is insufficient supply to the body tissues like the brain, somebody will have to somebody may faint. And this is what is now going to cause the unconsciousness. It can also cause dizziness.
Shortness of breath.
The shortness of breath. And if not even just the shortness, rather, when we talk about the shortness of breath, where somebody is breathing while gasping the breath, right? Where there is no adequate supply of oxygen. So somebody is struggling to breathe. Like those who play the football, once in a while when you are kicked below the stomach, or when you are hit by the ball, you find yourself, the oxygen supply is cut short, and you have to struggle to even get a grasp of the air for you to sustain yourself before you begin breathing normally. Or somebody is saying that the body may look pale, restlessness, anxiety, difficulty in speaking, headache, restlessness, rapid distressed breathing, among others. What is anoxia? Anoxia.
Lack of oxygen in the brain.
Lack of oxygen in the brain. And so what are some of the effects of anoxia to an individual?
Pascal,
Yes.
it can lead to brain damage.
It can lead to brain damage. That is very true. Kirainto?
Death.
It can lead to death, yes. Brain damage, it can lead to death. Remember, we talked about this just.
What about seizure?
Pascal,
Yes.
it can lead to epilepsy.
Epilepsy, it can lead to epilepsy, yes. It can lead to mental disability. Apart from epilepsy, mental disability, what other condition did we say it can lead to?
It can lead
Cerebral
to
palsy.
Yes.
Cerebral palsy.
It can lead to, a condition called the cerebral palsy. Now, describe 4 ways of assessing breathing in an unconscious casualty. Somebody has fainted, and you want to find out whether the person is breathing. How are you going to find out whether the person is breathing? How are you going to find out? Yes?
Yeah, you can look for the abnormalities on the chest of the patient or what is happening to the chest.
Okay, the abnormalities of the chest. By checking the pulse, yes. And sorry, Anne, when we talk about the abnormalities of the chest, that is where we look at the rising and the falling of the chest, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, the rising, you look at the rising and the falling of the chest. You also check on the pulse rate, the pulse. Which other ways? Please let us talk about this question so that we can move on. Tell us even the ones you are thinking so that we can correct. Remember, during the exam now, somebody is going to be alone. So when we go through them as a team, we find better ways of placing the hands on the nostrils to ascertain the breathing air. And when somebody is breathing, you will get the warmth that comes through the nose by feeling it. So we have said about putting your hands or your finger, and which part of the hand do you put around the nose to find out whether the person is breathing. Which part of the hand?
Hiyo part ya black, hiyo ya nyuma.
Ninakumbushwa hapa ati sio kila mtu yake ni black. Sijui kwa nini hii wanasema hii. Okay, but it is very true. Somebody is saying putting the hands on the wrist. So how do we confirm that when you put the hands on the wrist?
That is maybe checking the pulse.
Yes, I know that one will be checking the pulse.
Yeah, you can also use your cheek. Yeah, you use your cheek to feel whether there is any breath.
Your cheek. So how are you going to do it?
You know, that's a soft part. So you'll be able, if there is anything coming from their nose or their mouth, then you'll be able to feel it because it's sensitive.
Right. That is very, very true. Now, I want us to look at the two slides down here, and then we move to the next one. You can also, somebody is saying the movement of the eyes. If somebody is breathing, you can also confirm with the movement of the eyes. Moses Maina, can you tell us how this is legitimate? Moses? Okay, let's carry on. Let's carry on. So in our last lesson, we talked about, sorry, I want to get to navigate to the next slide. We talked about this. I don't think this is a big deal. I have not finished. I did not manage to finish working on the histogram. So I think I'll need some time to perfect it. But the symptoms of asphyxia, Now, remember that asphyxia can occur when the airway is physically blocked or a side effect of an injury or other medical condition. When the airway is blocked, then it is likely to cause asphyxia. And this can be, it may be as a result of a medical condition. And examples of the airway being physically blocked can include the following: choking, maybe a foreign object lodged in the respiratory system or the throat. It can be caused by suffocation. Yes.
What is the relationship between asphyxia and anorexia?
Right. So we are coming there. We are coming to that, Josephine. So it can be as a result of choking or a foreign object lodged in the respiratory system blocking the airway, as a result of suffocation. It can as well be as a result of strangulation or drowning. When you drown in water, it can as well be as a result of remember that the tongue can as well block the airway when a person is unconscious. And then we also have the other injuries that can cause this condition, like the collapsed lungs, when you inhale toxic fumes like carbon monoxide, the whooping cough. We talk about the heart failure, the swollen veins in the head or neck, paralysis, the asthma, broken neck, the high blood pressure. We talk about allergic reaction, drug overdose. And so there are very many ways, there are very many causes of the asphyxia. But there is a good question that has been asked. What is the relationship? Josephine, you asked the relationship.
between asphyxia and anorexia.
Anorexia.
Anorexia, I know, is the lack of oxygen, maybe in the
No.
brain.
Anorexia is
Anoxia, anoxia, not anorexia,
Yeah.
anoxia.
Ndio hiyo. Sasa unajua kizungu ilikuja na meli.
No, but
Anorexia.
there is anorexia and there is anoxia.
Anoxia.
Yeah, anorexia is it's something related with food, whereby somebody eats and then puts hands in the mouth to vomit so that they can maintain some weight which they want. Okay. Then now we have anoxia. That's the one which is to do with oxygen and the brain.
Now, hii anorexia nisema na bulimia sasa ni gani?
Bulimia ndio opposite of anorexia.
Oh.
Yeah, you now eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat.
Alafu una inanisinyanga.
Right, then let's carry on. So the asphyxia, there is, when somebody is suffering the asphyxia, when they are speaking, there is a hoarse voice. That means that whatever they are saying, the words may not be very clear. There could be the sore throat, and also there could be the difficulty in swallowing, the shortness of breath, like the gasping, you know, where you're struggling. Then there is what we also call hyperventilation. Owino Esther Agunda, kindly mute yourself. Tumesikia vizuri kabisa. Genda na umambi. Please, let's mute ourselves. There is hyperventilation, which is a rapid or the deep breathing. Somebody, like now when we talk about the rapid of deep breathing, you know, you are able to tell, like when we have those who take part in 100 meters race, when you run from one end of the field to the finishing side, you are going to have a rapid or a deep breathing, the breathing that is very fast. But now when you get somebody who is breathing in that manner and yet they have not done a heavy exercise, then you are likely also to connect it to asphyxia. And then there is worsening of existing asthma, like somebody who has asthma, the asthma may now worsen. We know, Esther, don't worry, that is normal. Then there could be an anxiety which is caused by the asphyxia. And there could also be the poor concentration. Mtu anakaa tu kama amezuba. Finally, we talk about ways of assessing breathing. You can look to see if the chest is rising and falling. You can as well listen over their mouth and nose for breathing sounds. And then you can also feel their breath against your cheek for maybe for something like around 10 seconds. And the other thing that I did not include here is that you can as well feel the pulse. You can feel the pulse. There is another one that you can as well also check on the carotid. Do we know about that one? About the carotid? Hello, do we know about the carotid, or where do we have that part called the carotid? Yes. The carotid. Somebody is saying the throat.
Breast.
Yes.
Kwa shingo.
Washingo, yes. So remember, when you put your hand around the, around the neck there, there is remember there is something that it feels like the pulse, but it is not the pulse, because the pulse we feel from the hand. So that you will feel something that is beating like the heart, or it is moving like the pulse. So when you feel it, then you are able to tell that a person is breathing, though the breathing may not be present and you may not be able to see it. But there are various avenues like checking the carotid to ascertain that at least a person is breathing, though they may also be struggling. In the year 2017, questions here were very cheap. And we begin looking at the aims of the first aid. State the three aims of the first aid. Now, this question, as you can see, it gets repeated. And during your year, you can as well be the lucky lot when you meet it in the next 1 week to come. State the three aims of the first aid. And here we have been asked to state. It is not sinful when you go beyond what has been asked here when you explain as we go along our revision. So state the three aims of the first aid. And here, please, so that we avoid having a market, we have to raise our hands. We will have to raise our hands, tafadhalini. Yes, 0686.
To save life.
To save life.
Prevent further injury.
To save life. Kirainto?
To preserve life. And
Hello.
To save life. Elvin? So we only know of to save life. There is no any other. Yes, in Phoenix or 5.
Pascal,
Yes.
to prevent further injury.
Prevent further injury. Gachunga? Oh, to prevent further injury in Phoenix or 5.
To promote recovery.
Promote recovery. Hey, that question we have taken too long. Promote recovery, save life, prevent further injury. Outline the procedure for managing a casualty with severe bleeding leg. Swali ndilo hilo. Yes, the procedure. Yes, please. Jacqueline?
Reassure the casualty.
Reassure the casualty.
Ensure safety for the injured and the first aider.
Safety for the casualty and the first aider. And
I think I have a question. When they say the procedure, are they talking about the steps to follow, or what are they talking about when they say the procedure?
Right, right. When we are talking about the procedure, we are looking for the steps. Now, I want us to understand here that we are looking for the steps of dealing with the bleeding, actually dealing with the bleeding. The procedure for managing a casualty with severe bleeding. Which steps are we going to take to make sure that we are able to control the bleeding before the person, the casualty is referred to the next or the nearest available health facility?
You put the casualty in a recovery position.
In a recovery position. Haya, hiyo ni kama imetulemea. Look at that. Yes.
Pascal, can
Yes,
I
yes.
give a try?
Yes.
Apply direct pressure on the bleeding wound.
Apply, is it on the bleeding wound or on the sides?
On the wound, that's what I know, on the bleeding wound. So that you can prevent the bleeding coming out more.
Okay. Someone else?
Pascal,
Yes.
let me also try.
Yes.
I think you can, using cold water, cold clean water, you clean the area affected. Then after cleaning it, you now use pressure pad to control bleeding, not exactly on that part, but next to it to control the bleeding. Then you can tie it using either bandage or a clean cloth, a clean piece of cloth.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for the trial.
Pascal,
Yes.
let me try. Number one, you allow the wound to bleed for some time. Mpaka stop yenyewe, then you apply the direct pressure direct to the wound for about 10 minutes. Then kama kuna any dirt.
Correct.
Yes.
Remember, we are now dealing with a severe bleeding.
Hey, akimaliza damu.
Now, just to correct, I'm just correcting so that we get what is expected. Remember, if it is a minor bleeding, you can allow the wound to bleed. But we are talking about a severe bleeding that is likely to pose a challenge to the person. Huyu itamaliza damu kwa mwili, and you know that could be it could be life-threatening. Correct? Did you get that?
Yes. That's why you apply your direct pressure bus on the wound. Alafu kama kuna any object, sasa usingangane kutoa, ungangane umpeleke hospitali, daktari mwenyewe ungangane nao.
Okay.
We have to stop that breathing, then we look for the assistance to those to hospital.
Okay. All right. We are going to look at that question. I know it has a bit of its own side, but we are going to look at it, so don't get worried. It is one of the cheapest questions here, by the way. Explain 5 ways in which members of the community will support a person with disability to acquire employment. 5 ways, and this is now application, by the way. You don't need to be in class for you to get this, but you only need the exposure in SNE. So explain 5 ways in which members of a community would support a person with disability to acquire employment.
Hello?
You give loans.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
People can even volunteer hii michango ya kidogo kidogo, and then they support the person to have to be self-employed, either by selling given products which can be easily sold to help the person earn a living.
Right, but remember the question is saying how members of a community will support a person with disability to acquire employment. Somebody is asking which year is this in chorus. Which year are we looking at?
2017.
Thank you.
Pascal, I
Yes.
think the members, the community may even look for the employment job, and then they tell these people who are disabled to apply for the jobs and actually to advocate for them to get the jobs.
So you are saying advocating for the employment opportunities for these persons, Gachunga?
We can also talk of provision of the sheltered workshops.
Provision of the sheltered workshops where these people work under, categorically they work under, in an environment where their rights are, where they are protected from those who may want to take advantage of them. Marion?
Pascal, what if I say by training them to do different jobs in order for them to maybe to you do what on our refer to that job after training them?
Training and referring them for the employment opportunities. That is very true, Marion. Remember, in the vocational training to these people, we said you are empowering them by imparting necessary skills to them that will allow them to acquire and sustain the job that they are going to they may be looking for. So you train,
Pascal,
after you have trained, you refer.
what of assisting them to acquire capital to start their own business?
Yes, to acquire capital so that they can now start their own business, which is self-employment. Very true. Beatrice Ogweno.
Nah, Pascal. Pascal.
Yes.
See, I think that is what I said, and it was shut down.
No.
I talked of giving them grants.
Yes.
Allow them get something so that they be self-employed.
Yes, I think when you say give them the grants or give them the loans, you must also bring the connectivity of the grants and the loan to the job employment, which is very right. Josephine, are we together?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I can't see any other answer, so I want us to go to the next number.
So grants and capitals, provision of funds and the capital is different.
I think they are more or less the same, but for example, even assisting them with the required facilities. For example, if one is lacking maybe a wheelchair, to assist.
Those are two different points. The other one, you are granting them to get a loan, to acquire a loan from a bank. And this one, maybe you can put yourselves as a community.
Na ile yenye community wanachanga wanampea, alafu anaanzisha biashara yake.
that will still fall under the provision of the funds to start a self-employment business. Femina.
Yes, Pascal.
Yes.
Hey, I don't know whether I have misunderstood that question because kama my answers sasa mimi ningepeana hivi, ningezi categorize, ningeanza maybe for those who are VI ama HI, where I will nitaleta labda interpreter to explain for them maybe job opportunity inamaanisha nini, such vitu kama hizo. Mama?
Femina.
Yes.
The question is very broad. The way it has been put here, it is very general. So even if you decide to take sides with the question, there is no crisis with it, because
that one falls under empowering. You empower them.
Yes.
Oh. Okay, so thank you.
Knowledge, skills, and attitude of the kind of job they are to take, and even the advantages and disadvantages of being without a job. Then they will weigh which side, taking a job or not taking a job.
So thank you.
Pascal.
Yes.
Edu talked about involving them in the employment opportunities.
Talk about it.
For example, if you are hiring teachers, you also give them opportunities. They should not be looked as they are people who are not able to do something.
Right.
That one, Ian, is it allowing them to fully participate, rather than being available?
Hapana, unaona Josephine kama nini? Unaona ka venye kuna recruitment ya walimu, they are also included. Si kuna walimu VI, kuna walimu deaf. Are you getting me?
Oh, so inclusion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at the next question. Give 4 details that are included when referencing a book in a research study. What details will you include when you are referencing a book in a research study? Part of module number 9. It is shared module number 9, module number 12. Oh, by the way, what is referencing? What is referencing?
Acknowledging the author or the person who did the work.
Yes, Josephine?
Is it acknowledging?
Acknowledging the source of information where you refer to.
Ukisema tu acknowledging uko sawa. So what are we going to acknowledge when we are referencing? What are we going to include? Author's name, Mary Gatanga, yes. Author
The year
and
of publication.
Very right.
Title.
The title, or when you talk about the book's name, it means you are talking about the title, yes.
What about year of publication?
Year of publication, yes.
The page. Page number.
Page number.
City. Publisher.
Yes.
Publisher.
The publisher.
What about the date?
No, that one we just have under the year. We just have the year.
Year two, hakuna eti 2017 May, they only the year.
Now, what are the methods of referencing?
American.
Yeah.
British. Harvard sema.
Harvard, British, and then
Na
the
British
APA.
na ABA.
American.
When you are referencing using the APA, which is the recommended that KISE is using, how do you start?
The author's initial name.
The author's initials followed by
followed by year in bracket.
Year in bracket, yes. No, not the year.
Tumesema jina lake ya kwanza alafu the surname alafu initial.
Alafu koma alafu
Unmute Infinix.5. Unfortunately, the owner is not.
Pascal, nilikuwa nimesema surname kwanza alafu sasa initial yake. Alafu kuna year of nini?
No, before you go to the year, you are forgetting. Do we have the comma somewhere or the full stop somewhere?
Kuna full stops.
Yeah, those are the things I want you to mention. Yeah, that's what I'm insisting on.
Okay.
And even when we talk about the year, year mahali tunazungumzia, the year must be bracketed. Don't forget
Ni
about
bracket. Nilikuwa nimesema in bracket for me. Sasa hiyo nisikuwa nimesahau.
Okay. So we are going
alafu title inakuwaga bolded ama?
No, it's not a must.
Okay.
We are going to look at that down here. So wale ambao pengine imewaponyoka, we have the opportunity of seeing how that can be done just down here in the preceding slides. Now, explain the following types of research: basic research, applied research, evaluation research. All of them are falling under the purpose research. Yes, DSNEIE. Any other thing? Yes?
Basic research is research that is done to expand new ideas.
Basic research is a research that is done to expand the new ideas. Yes, carry on.
Applied research is a research done to find solution now and here, things that have just come up. So we do a very fast research to get solutions. That is applied research.
Like for the COVID-19, right?
Yeah. And then evaluation research. This is research. Evaluation research is research done if the research was already done. Now it's just evaluating the findings.
We are now trying to find out the legitimacy or the validity of the research that was already done and it is now existing.
This is like collecting the data and analyzing.
Yes. Very true. Very true. We are not going to get back there again because we want to go with time, but we are going to look at that. Describe 5 activities that the community members may initiate to reduce social barriers towards a person with disability. 5 activities that community members may initiate to reduce social barriers towards a person with disability. What are social barriers? Part of module number 4. It's also found in module number 12. What are social barriers?
Pascal.
Yes.
Could we say these are the non-tangible, non-feasible barriers which hinder this person with special needs and disabilities from participating environment.
The
Of
environment.
the community, yeah.
E.g.
Like now, where we have the person who is deaf or blind, and we have an occasion, maybe in the church, na hakuna hawajaprovidiwa like sign language interpreter na mtu wa braille. So nyinyi mna discuss tu vitu zenu kwa kanisa and you are not including them. Wako tu kama ni kuona kama deaf hako tu, hayuko included in communication.
And also even the stigma within the community.
Yes,
Right. So what are these activities that a community member may initiate to reduce social barriers towards the PWDs, persons with disability?
Sasa kama hii yangu saa moja yenye nimesema providing sign language interpreter in social occasions to assist people like the deaf one.
Another one, Pascal.
Yes.
Including people with disability in community initiatives.
Including them in the community initiatives, avoid labeling them and being positive towards them. Avoid labeling them. Unasikia mtu anasema he, hiki kijiji na vile watu wanatembea in style, na hapo kumbe unachora mtu. Yes, Salome.
Again, to encourage people in the community to have positive attitude towards people with disabilities.
Yes, that is what we call the tolerance, the community tolerance towards these people. Correct?
I wanted to say,
avoid segregating them in community activities.
And
that include them.
Including them, okay. Yes, how do we call Josephine?
I wanted to say that you empower the communities to know that disability, being disabled is not being, disability is not inability. They are just different in a special way.
The awareness within the community. Gashunga?
Setting up policies that will include them.
Policies that will include them. Rosaida?
Allowing them to participate in the community activities so that they can be able to represent the other people who are disabled.
Thank you, thank you. DSNEIE, please now tell us your name, because now you must be having a name, please. DSNEIE. DSNEIE, your hand is up.
Pascal, sustainability of CBR programs.
Yes.
Sustainability of the CBR program. So you help them sustain the CBR program so that they don't.
That is sustaining the CBR programs to continue catering for these people. Remind us your name, please. Okay, let's carry on.
Pascal Mwanaulu.
Oh, Mwanaulu. I was looking for the name. Rosaida.
I was asking, can we also say that we should give them opportunities so that they can fight for their rights? We should not shut them down when there are opportunities for speaking.
Yeah, I think that is where we talked about the inclusion.
Pascal?
Okay.
Yes.
Pascal?
Yes,
how about advocating for their rights? You advocate for the rights of for the right of people with disability.
Advocating, yes, advocating for the rights for the persons with disability. Very true.
I have a question, Pascal.
Yes.
Suppose this question had been reframed as describe 5 activities that community members may initiate to reduce environmental barriers towards the PWDs. Maybe how could we approach this question?
Very good question. activities that the community will initiate to reduce environmental barriers towards the person with disability. Salome?
Putting of ramps to all places of entrances instead of having stairs.
I think Mr. Pascal,
yes.
It is that one is directly from the module kwenye wanasema if somebody wants to come up with a shop in a shopping center that will help the PW people with disability, Mara initiating the ramps, leveling the ground, putting the whatever down so that it reaches them, empowering the community to accept them, empower also these people to advocate for their rights. I don't know whether that is the thing.
Yes.
Yeah, very true, very true. Samuel, I don't know whether that was satisfying.
There was a bit of confusion here. Kwa sababu kuna majibu zingine ziliwekwa hapo tukiongea kuhusu hiyo ya social barriers, ni kama pia zinaingiana tena kwa environmental barriers. I had a feeling that when we talk about social barriers, there are those barriers that actually interfere with interaction with other members of the community. So maybe tukiangalia, okay, kama vile walikuwa wamesema mambo ya sign language interpreters, maybe talking about specialists kama debrailing and brailing specialists, vitu kama zile. So I had the feeling that maybe kuna some parts kama hiyo mambo ya empowering nini vitu kama hizo. I thought maybe zinaweza ingia kwa upande mwingine. Sijui.
Okay.
Sasa kama empowering, I don't know, we stand to be corrected. Empowering them means that they were not aware. So you make them aware that the ABCD should be done this way. Then from there, whatever they did not know that they can do, they are now able to do. And it will come from the members of the community who will empower them. For example, you find somebody seated by the roadside, year out, asking for 10 bobama 1 shilling. If you empower this person that, if you're given this amount of money to stop being here so that you can be self-employed. So I don't know whether that falls under the social, breaking the social barrier, because akitoka hapo, people will now have another view of him. He will now be a valuable member of the society, as opposed to the one whom we used to be seeing beside the road as a burden, asking for 10 shillings every now and then.
Okay, hello.
Yes, Shani.
Okay, I think according to me, the question wanted us to describe the ways on which the community will overcome the social barriers. And empowerment is one of them, whereby they said empowerment of people with the disability is one of the way of overcoming the social barriers. Another one, we have the lobbying of responsible legislations. Then we have increasing access for equity and quality education to people with the disabilities. Yeah, those ones, according to me.
Including them.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So when we are talking about the maybe the community members, the activities, we also tend to look at the keywords Like in this case, we are looking at the social barriers and then persons with disability. But also remember there could be environmental barriers. And then there is also a possibility of also being asked the physical barriers. But you realize that when we talk about the social barriers, I mean, when we talk about the environmental barriers, some may be even physical included there, which may hinder even the participation of persons with disability in such activities within the community.
Pascal,
Yes.
imeona mahali under social barriers wamesema they should be included in this. Aje nisome. Number 1. Okay, how does CBR help in reducing social barriers? It should be noted that CBR is the community action that ensures persons with disabilities have the same rights and opportunities as all the community members. They include equal access to health, education, employment, family life, social mobility, and political empowerment. Ulisikia hiyo?
Yes.
Okay. Nirudi hapo, sawa. How does CBR help in reducing social barriers? Ikasema hivi, it should be noted that CBR is a community action that ensures persons with disabilities have the same rights and opportunities as all the other community members. This includes equal access to health, education, employment, family life, social mobility, and political empowerment. Meisha hapo.
Sawa. Thank you very much. So let's look at let's try looking at the slides with the answers. So number 1, we talked about the aims of the first aid, and we are saying it is there to save life, and therefore saving life involves ensuring the casualty has a clear airway and is breathing. And again, you need to check the circulation by feeling the pulse, stopping the bleeding if any, and treating other injuries in order of priority. And you also need to know that when we are talking about ensuring that the airway is clear, suppose the airway is not clear, what are you supposed to do?
You start resuscitating.
Yes.
Start resuscitating the casualty.
You start resuscitating the casualty?
Do you remove any foreign material?
Right. So you need to look at the way of restoring the breathing back. So number 2 is prevention of further injury, and in this case, you should never move a casualty unless there is an obvious danger or there is an immediate danger where the casualty is, because you may never know exactly what the problem is, and so just moving the casualty without considering the other factors may cause more injury to the casualty. Promoting recovery, you treat the injuries in the right manner and comfort and reassure the casualty. You also have to protect the casualty from extreme weather conditions such as heat, cold, or wind, and you organize for transfer to a health center or hospital if necessary. We have also talked about the procedure for managing casualty with a severe bleeding leg. Remember, we are having a minor bleeding and a severe. So if it is a minor bleeding, you may decide to allow the how do we call? You may decide to allow the wound to bleed until it stops on its own. But if it is not that, if it is a severe one, then you cannot go that way. You cannot allow it to bleed until it stops alone, because the person may bleed until it becomes something else. So remember, number one, you need to carefully expose the wound. And when we are saying you expose the wound, how are you going to apply the first aid on the wound? You cannot apply the first aid on the wound when the wound is hidden. Mtu alikuwa ameanguka. You cannot. Now that side is facing down. You want to apply the first aid. You must carefully expose the wound in a manner that you can now administer the first aid. And then you will have to apply direct pressure on the wound. You apply the direct pressure on the wound, and if there is an embedded object or maybe ni mtu ambaye amekatwa na kitu, you need to apply pressure around the sides of the what? Around the sides of the wound, so that if there is an object that is visible, then the object automatically comes out. And then you need to raise the limb, because in this case it is a leg. You need to raise that limb, and you need to lay the casualty down, keeping that limb raised. There's somebody playing with a baby. Yes, raising the limb, and then you lay the casualty down, keeping the limb raised, and then you are going a clean pad or a sterile dressing if available, and then you are going to treat for the for shock, and you will also keep the pressure in the wound for 10 minutes. This, the pressure will make sure that the bleeding is controlled, because this is a severe one. And when the bleeding is controlled, you leave any original pad in place and you apply a sterile dressing, and a what? And remember, we are talking about a severe bleeding on the leg. You can be asked a question on the types of wounds. What are some of the types of wounds that we know?
Closed.
Yes.
Open.
Somebody is talking.
I'm saying,
yes,
we have open wound and closed wound.
Open wound and the closed wound.
Gunshot.
We have the gunshot wound. It is, of course, from the word gunshot. Yes.
What about incised wound?
Yes.
Hey, sijui hata kutamka, sijui nasemanga incised hiyo.
Incised.
Yes.
Maji yani.
Alafu kuna punctured.
Lacerated. Lacerated.
Wanda wako na puff. Wanaume baka. Mwingine anapiga keyboard, mwenye ana kalimani. Walikuja na full team.
Hey, Owino Esther Agunda. Kindly mute yourself. Thank you. Let's carry on. We were on the types of wounds. We have talked about the incised. We have talked about the the gunshot, the lacerated. So when we talk about the types of wounds, like we talk about the contused or the bruise, the bruise is always caused by being beaten by getting a blunt blow or a punch. Mtu akikupiga ngumi, and then hiyo ngumi, as somebody hits you with the fist, inaenda kama slide maybe on your cheeks and it leaves a wound. That is called a contused or a bruised wound. And then we have also talked about the lacerated, which is also called a torn wound, which is caused by crushing or ripping forces, like the barbed wire. Wakati unakimbia along the fence alafu barbed wire ikupate, it is called the crushing or ripping force. And then we also have the incised, which is also referred to as a clean cut wound, which is caused by a sharp blade, e.g. the razor blade. Wakati unakata kitu or the knife ikukate, it becomes the incised or the clean cut wound. And then we have the punctured wound, which is caused by sharp pointed objects, e.g. like when you are walking and you get a thorn just pricking on your foot, that becomes a punctured, or a nail. You're walking and then there is a nail on a piece of wood, you step on it, you get the punctured wound. Or sometimes even when you're using a needle pale, unashona. Hata ukidungwa shindano hospitali na daktari, it is likely to cause a punctured wound. And then we also talked about the graze or the abrasion, which is caused after sliding or a sliding fall or by friction burns. Ukidandia lori, a moving lorry, alafu wewe uruke kama umesimama, then you are going to fall down as you slide. And this is going to cause you the so-called abrasion. We have talked about the gunshot, which is caused by the bullet or the missiles getting you, and even the hii ambayo ilitumika kulipua kwa Miguna wakati wale majamaa walimuendea. How do we call it? Tumesahau hiyo Now, because of time, I did not manage to capture the question C, but I will capture it. Number 2A, the details. Let me increase the font size. Now, we talk about the details that are included while you are referencing a book in a research study. Now, this question points out very clear. You also need to know the details that are included when you are referencing a journal, a magazine, or from the web. So the name of the author, or the name of the authors if there are many, the year of publication, the book title, the city of publication, and then we have the name of the publisher. Now we have an example here. You can see there is the name Pascal, capital letter P, capital letter P, comma, followed by the O, full stop, bracket, the year of publication, full stop, talented children and adults. It is supposed to be, we have Kenya, Nairobi. So that is just an example. And if we are having more than one author, then again we take a different direction. We have talked about the basic research, which is research concerned with generating new theories, new knowledge, in order to refine or expand existing theories. We have also talked about the applied research, which is a type of research which is concerned with solutions of immediate, specific, and practical problems, and it places emphasis on a problem here and now. Like we have talked about trying to get the solutions to combat the COVID-19, it comes under the applied research. And then we have the evaluation research, which is a process of collecting and analyzing data in order to determine whether the intended results were achieved. And again, the evaluation can involve assessing the performance in relation to objectives or expected outcomes. I want us to stop there. It is 9:33, so that tomorrow we begin looking at question 3. We begin looking at question 3, question 4, question 5. Unfortunately, the source that I got did not give me question number 6. So we will only look at question 1 to 5, and thereafter we will get back to the paper of 2014.
Pascal.
By next week on Wednesday, we are supposed to have done with the research and rehabilitation. We are supposed to be now looking at introduction to SNE.
Pascal.
Yes.
There is a source that I found yenye social barriers, yani overcoming the social barriers for the people with the disability. Things like inclusion, empowering them or the community, accepting them, helping them to eradicate poverty, because it is being said that these people are the poorest people in the society or in the community. Another thing, creating clear policy, allowing them to move freely and interact with the community members, yani wasiwe segregated, ile ya institutionalization ya kuwapeleka maybe in a special school, ati hawa ni disabled children, wanawekwa kando. Aya, another thing walisema accessibility to the environment, and then equity and equality. So hizo ndizo nimeona mahali kwa hii nini tu kitabu cha Rehabilitation 008 somewhere. I just converted the social barriers into the positive onto their positive side. Walikuwa nasema poverty and global whatever blah 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 hizo. But how do we overcome this? That is my
Thank you very much. I don't know whether you want us to respond to that now because we are past time.
Hizo points zote ziko correct. Depends how you defend them.
Because tulikuwa tunasema na it's okay.
Pascal, niliingia late display yenye mulianzia kidogo.
Let us pray and then we release others. Then I'll keep now giving those who still want to get what we started with. Hiyo itakuwa sawa. Caroline Kiini, I've seen your presence. We are much blessed to have you here. So please, you can offer us the closing prayer so that we can release others officially, and then those who want the slides, I'll show to them.
Okay, thank you, Pascal. Let us believe and pray. Our Father and our God, we come before you this evening, dear Lord. Thank you because of the tender care, Father, that you have shown unto us. Thank you because of that good discussion, dear Lord, we have together, oh dear Father. As we continue, dear Father, with our discussion, we pray that you be with us, oh dear Lord. Bless us, Jehovah God. Open up our minds so that we may be able to remember even when it comes to our exams, oh dear Lord. As we go to sleep this night, we pray that you may take care of us, watch over us, Jehovah Lord, King of Peace. And when we see tomorrow, Lord, being a good day, we shall not forget to give you all the glory and honor. We thank you, we worship you, because you are our Father and our God. In the mighty name of Jesus, I pray and give thanks. Amen.